I suppose I was very rigid in my beliefs because the industry was very rigid. They said, no, that won't work.
Yeah.
Do
true.
this and it'll work. I was
Yeah.
like, no, I'm sorry, but that I'll make it work. And today the industry is also more open. Oh, we're open to experimenting, trying this and that. Yes, I'm not being conventional, but that doesn't mean I don't want it to be commercial. The commerce won't be as big as a conventional movie.
True.
I know that. But it'll have its audience. I don't love every film I've done. There are some that I don't necessarily like. But would I revisit and not do them? Well, I learned something from those experiences.
Hey everybody, this is Aditi and you are watching me on ETimes. Today I have someone extremely special joining me, someone I've grown up watching and looked up to. So Abhay, a huge welcome to ETimes and we are so happy to have you joining with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Are you a method actor or did you just go with the flow or what was it?
If there is a method that I have, it's not a traditional, what you call method acting. I don't even know what that really means, to be honest with you.
Okay.
What it entails. But I've reflected upon it because I've been asked this question many a times. And I thought, what do I do? Of course, when I have to put on an accent or some kind of, let's say, impediment in the body, that takes practice and rehearsal, no doubt. But unless it's not something superficial like that, then my method, if there is any, is, of course, I've read the script. I know where the story is going and where the character is going.
Yeah.
But I don't prepare so much, unless I have to put on the accent or way of speaking. Then my method is throwing myself completely vulnerable, unprepared, and see what comes. Because that chaos of the moment of not knowing. And that's
exploring the unknown. Yeah.
It's being vulnerable.
Yeah. True.
Not even unknown. I already know that I'm going to be vulnerable.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just unknown, really.
Yeah.
Because that's very abstract.
Yeah.
It's more specific. It's being vulnerable, really.
Yeah.
And then what comes out from there is more truthful.
It's natural.
Because you're fighting for survival here.
True.
Because
exactly.
To not get it right would be to fall.
Yeah.
In the thing you do. And I suppose that's my method. But that's not something I've learned from a book.
This is your own way of approaching a character or a script for that matter.
That's something that I wouldn't even say evolved over the time. It's just something that I realized I did right from the very start, from the beginning. It's not something I did over time.
Abhay, you have always picked up very unconventional roles and stories. So has your choice of scripts evolved over the years?
You would hope so.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
Evolution is an ongoing process. It never ends. Hopefully, it never ends. You may, you may be ignorant of it, and so it might be end.
Yeah.
It might end for you on the surface because you're ignorant of it, but it's still happening within you.
True.
Because maybe you're fighting that. Maybe you don't want to embrace the changes that are coming about. Maybe you like status quo. Maybe you like the way things are. I'm of the opposite end. I'm like, I can't wait for change. I can't
You're
wait for the
open
next
to
thing.
change.
I can't wait to see where I'm going to be next and how I'm going to be next.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might be like this person today, I'll be another person tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's applicable to scripts. I mean, the script,
Yeah.
if you're asking specifically about scripts, where you are at mentally, emotionally, physically has an influence on how you perceive whatever script you're reading, if you want to be more specific.
Okay. So I was basically looking like how do you generally approach your scripts and have they changed or not? So I think
Has my approach changed?
Yeah.
Well, there's no need. Like, that's one part where, I approach things with an open mind. That hasn't changed. And that's evolved in the sense that now I'm more open to also just doing something that's more formulaic, conventional. Why fight it? So that change has happened. I'm like, why not? Because now I've done.
Yeah.
If there was a point to prove, not that I was trying to prove a point, I was just being me, but even if there was a point to prove, I've done it. So now let's have fun, I wouldn't mind doing something that I would not have done 10 years ago. Why not?
Okay.
Therein lies the evolution.
Yeah.
So there is an element of that. I was saying earlier to somebody else that I suppose I was very rigid in my beliefs because the industry was very rigid. They said, no, that won't work.
Yeah.
Do this and it'll work. I was
Yeah.
like, no, I'm sorry, but I'll make it work. And today the industry is also more open. Oh, we're open to experimenting, trying this and that. So I'm like,
True.
yeah, great. I'm also open to something more formulaic. I'm just
Exactly.
reflecting what's coming back at me.
Yeah. You know, I thoroughly enjoy your screen presence, and having said that, I believe you have always put content as a priority over anything else. So, is it a conscious decision to stay away from commercial films, or how do you look at it?
Well, I want my films to be commercial because commercial means it's made money.
True. Yeah.
And even the films that sounds like non-commercial, I'm like, no, I'm not trying to be non-commercial. Yes, I'm not being conventional.
Maybe that is the
That's
better
the
word
difference.
to use. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I don't want it to be commercial. The commerce won't be as big as a conventional movie.
True.
I know that. But it'll have its audience.
Yeah.
It'll
It
be
will
of
find
a
its
certain
audience.
size.
Exactly.
May not be as big as you'd like it to be. But it'll be something. And why not? I'm not here greedy to have all the dollars in the world. Just enough to get by, support the lifestyle that I have, and make the things I want to make. I was never enamored by fame because, money doesn't bring you happiness. Fame doesn't
True.
give you happiness.
The inner satisfaction.
Satisfaction
is what,
comes from being who you are and having the freedom to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And that
True.
could be making small films, but they speak to you and they represent you authentically, and
True.
that's worth more than any money in the world.
Exactly.
Any amount of fame. I don't care about being a star. Doesn't mean I don't care. It just means I care about something different.
True.
Exactly. And if stardom is a result of that, sure, great.
Yeah.
Stardom also is something that you have to invest in.
That is
It's not
also
just
true.
making work, it's
Exactly.
also doing PR, it's also being out there, it's also
Yeah.
hiring a whole crew of people. And
True. To make you that star that
yeah,
way.
so
Exactly.
are you ready to do all of that? So that's what makes something commercial. It's a lot of hard work,
True.
either ways.
So, in an old conversation, you had shared that the kind of work that you do, it takes so long for a script to actually materialize or, so that it translates into work. So, does that also feel that you are missing out on staying consistent and relevant in the industry?
I understand, like all scripts take a while to translate.
Yeah, but the kind of scripts that you choose, they've been very selective. You've been very selective and
I think what
choosy.
you're trying to quote is it's really hard to get the films I
Yeah.
funded and made to begin with.
Yeah.
And half the time is spent in trying to convince people
True.
that this will work.
Yeah.
Happened with me with Dave D when I was going around town trying to narrate to
Okay.
people and say, make this, it'll make a good film. And
Yeah.
I knew I had to go to Anurag to make it because he was the perfect director. So it takes a while, but then that's something I'm used to. But does that mean I'm afraid of becoming irrelevant because I take too much time? I mean, it's tough to answer that one because I don't work for relevance.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I'd like to be relevant. Doesn't mean I don't want to be. And I want the films I make to have an impact. And
True.
therein comes the relevance.
Exactly.
So I have to let the product speak for me.
Yeah.
Which is why early in my career I won't even market myself. I'd be like, let the product, because I believe that the product
Let the
should be
film
put
talk
forward
about it.
and
Exactly.
not myself. So
Yeah.
I've never tried to place myself front and center. Let the other filmmakers take credit for and be great and whatever, blah blah, and speak about themselves. I don't want to go out there and speak about myself.
Yeah.
Here's the director, meet him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Keep me out of
Yeah.
it. So that was, I'm not exactly like that anymore because the market is
Market has
changing
changed and evolved
Even
lately.
back then, actually, it was the same. I've changed and evolved as we were discussing. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
it's not so bad to
Yeah.
talk about yourself. It's not so bad to take credit. It doesn't mean you're being, self-absorbed in any way.
You have earlier also been very outspoken about the fact that actors in this industry aren't allowed to be individuals, or to create an identity of their own, and you really want that change to happen. So have you observed that lately, or, does that affect
That
you?
was more specifically to my situation because I came from a film background.
Okay.
And I had a lot of this thrown at me. And most film kids get this, which is, oh, your uncle is like this, your dad is like this, your mom is like that.
Yeah.
So there's already an image tailor-made for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but I am me. I am not my dad. I'm not my uncle. I'm not my brothers.
Yeah.
And I felt a lot of resistance to being different from them. They felt, well, you have a formula made for you. You'd be stupid
True.
to turn that down.
Exactly.
And I was like, but that wouldn't be me. I needed to say that I'm an individual, and why don't you use my individuality and see what that is capable of.
Yeah.
And that is true for the industry, particularly for kids who come from film backgrounds.
Yeah.
And that is why oftentimes you see them either doing a cover of a song of their dads or acting like their mother,
True.
or like because
Yeah.
they've been put in that position to do it. It happens less now. I think actors today are far more willing.
Sensible enough to have their own
Well, they're far more willing
identity.
to make themselves more vulnerable. Earlier, they were more guarded.
Yeah.
And it was all about the image. It's still like that somewhat, but I think actors today are a little bit more willing to take a risk.
True.
They see that the world is evolving and changing, and they should go along with that. Also, growing up in a different environment with technology and exposure to variety and choices,
True.
travel, so
Yeah.
they inherently have an individuality of their own, so they can't shake it.
True.
And that's why you're seeing a little bit more variety than before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you are someone who has always taken risks to explore.
When I was doing it, it was all about the image.
Yeah.
Still is.
Okay. Yeah. To some
But
extent,
that-
maybe.
It was all about that. It
Okay.
still is not like that, but that time there was no space to speak up against it. And if you did, you're bad.
Oh, yeah.
Arrogant.
That is true. Yeah.
It's absorbed. Not easy to work with. It's like, yeah, I'm not perfect. I'm reacting, but that's also because the environment is so hard. It's not an easy
True.
environment to survive in.
Exactly.
So I fought. And when you fight, you're vulnerable to being gaslit. You're vulnerable to making mistakes.
Yeah. So, since you've been very choosy about your portrayal on screen and the kind of films that you choose, that means every time or every project that you star in, you bring in a different amount of responsibility and trust for the movies as well. So, what's the best way to deal with the pressure and the expectation that you have from yourself?
Don't have any.
Okay.
By that I mean, just chill out. Don't take yourself so seriously. You are in a great place. You
Yeah.
have all this opportunity. You have all this love from the people. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Embrace the moment.
True.
Don't think. Especially so freaking lucky to be able to be in a creative field and earn a living off it.
Exactly.
How many people would kill to be in your shoes?
That is very true. Yeah.
And so that humility is a good space to come from. Because in that space of humility, then you allow yourself to just be.
Yeah.
And that's so much of what acting is about.
True.
So I don't feel the pressure as such. It's not like I don't feel pressure, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That
When you are going with the flow.
you just center
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Bring about, gratitude is a really strong emotion
Yeah.
and a balancer.
True.
And then that just makes everything fun and play, and you shine.
Yeah.
You let
exactly.
other people shine.
Yeah.
You're grateful for them to be in your life.
True. I really
But go down the
like
line.
your approach towards things. I mean, you are so good with it.
I mean, it took a while. to get
Yeah.
there.
So, one last thing I want to know from you. So, if given a chance, would you ever revisit any of your professional choices or films that you have taken, or, like saying no to a film in particular, or maybe you could have said yes to a particular project?
I don't love every film I've done. Filmmaking is a team effort. It's not an individual one.
Yeah.
It's not just the director that makes it. It's not just
Yeah.
the actor. It's not just the producer. It's all of them. And there are some that I don't necessarily like. But would I revisit and not do them? Well, I learned something from those experiences. Whether they were individuals who cornered me, or projects that didn't come out the way I thought they would. I needed to experience that. I needed to experience them. And that shaped my understanding of the world and
I think that has
who I am
helped you
today. So you
to
can't
make-
really. So what's the
Yeah.
point of revisit? Like, yeah, sure. I wish I had it, but then the next thing is, but then you got so much. 'Cause you
Yeah,
only learn from your
true.
mistakes. You don't learn
Exactly.
from what you've done right.
Yeah.
So no, not really. I'm just really happy where I am today.
Thank you so much for doing this with me, Abhay.
Thank you.
I had a great time chatting with you, and I
Me too.
really look forward to more conversations
Thank you,
with you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.